There is a kind of quiet that does not feel empty. It is the kind of quiet that follows you into a room, sits beside you on the couch, and stays with you even when no one else is around. Imagine Claire sitting alone after a long day. The television is off. Her phone is lying face down on the table. The noise of the world has finally stopped. And in that stillness, she cannot hide from the one thought she has been running from all day. She starts to wonder why everything feels so different now, why the room feels bigger than it used to, why something she cannot name keeps pulling at her chest. Most men would never believe that their silence could do something their words never could. They think that if they stop talking, a woman like Claire will simply move on and forget they ever existed. They panic. They send one more message. They try to explain one more time. They keep showing up because they are terrified that disappearing means losing. But here is what they do not understand. Sometimes the moment you go quiet is the very first time she actually feels you are real. When you are always available, Claire never has to wonder about you. When you answer every message the second it arrives, she never feels the weight of possibly losing you. When you explain every feeling and chase every moment, you take away the one thing that makes people truly value something. You take away the mystery. And when something loses its mystery, it slowly loses its magic too. It becomes ordinary. And ordinary things are easy to overlook. But when you choose to be quiet, not out of anger, not to punish her, not to play games, but because you have finally decided that your heart is worth protecting, everything changes. Claire stops getting updates from you. She stops seeing you react. She stops watching you reach for her. And that is when her mind begins to do something powerful. It starts to remember. It starts to fill in the silence with every moment you were kind, every time you showed up, every time you gave her your best without asking for anything in return. She remembers all of it now because you are not there to remind her. And somehow, the memory of you feels heavier than your presence ever did. This is not about playing games with Claire. This is about something much deeper. When you stop chasing, your silence stops looking like defeat. It starts looking like a man who finally knows his own worth. It tells her, without a single word, that she cannot keep you in her life while treating your love like it will always be there, no matter what she does. That realization hits differently than anything you could ever say out loud. Claire might not show it right away. Her pride will step in first. She might post photos of herself having fun. She might act busier than she actually is. She might give short answers and cold looks and pretend that your absence means nothing to her. But pride and truth are two very different things. If she had truly forgotten you, she would not need to perform. She would not need to prove to herself and everyone else that she is perfectly fine. The performance itself is the sign that something inside her is not as settled as she wants it to seem. And while her pride is busy putting on that show, her heart is doing something else entirely. It is comparing. It is measuring the kindness you gave her against the noise of everything else in her life. It is feeling the shape of what used to be there and noticing how nothing else quite fills that shape. She is not just missing your words. She is missing your energy, your patience, the calm you brought into her world, the way you were so sure about your love, even when she was not sure about anything. This is where most men make the mistake that costs them everything. They see Claire acting unbothered and they break. They send one last message to make sure she knows what she is losing. They cannot sit in the discomfort of the unknown. But the moment they speak, they take away the one thing that was actually working. They fill up the silence before it gets the chance to speak for them. Real silence does not need an announcement. It does not need a dramatic exit or a final speech. It just needs you to stop. Stop explaining. Stop chasing. Stop making yourself easy to have without any effort. Let her sit with the quiet. Let her mind do the work that your constant presence never allowed it to do. And while you are being quiet, do not waste that time staring at her photos and counting the days. Use it. Pour everything you are giving her back into yourself. Work on your body, your goals, your peace of mind, your purpose. Become so focused on your own life that your absence starts to feel like forward motion rather than withdrawal. Because Claire can feel the difference between a man who is quietly falling apart and a man who is quietly becoming stronger. One makes her feel guilty. The other makes her curious in a way she cannot explain. When she finally feels your silence land, it will not always be a dramatic moment. Sometimes it is a song. Sometimes it is a place you both used to go. Sometimes it is a Tuesday night when she reaches for her phone and realizes there is nothing from you and has not been for a while. And in that moment, the absence becomes louder than anything you ever said. It asks her a question she has been avoiding. Did I let go of someone who was actually really good for me? That question, once it starts, does not stop easily. If she comes back to you, do not rush. Watch what she does, not just what she says. If she shows real respect and real effort, you can open the door. But if she is just curious about whether you are still waiting, stay right where you are. Your silence taught her something. How you respond now will show whether you learned something too. The point of all this was never to make Claire suffer. It was never a trick or a trap. It was about you finally becoming a man who does not need to explain his value to someone who was not paying attention to it. It was about choosing your peace over your panic, your dignity over your desperation. And that choice, quiet and steady as it is, becomes the most unforgettable thing about you. Not because you tried to be remembered, but because you finally stopped trying so hard to be.